What's happening, people? Back with another reaction. Back with some house, actually. Back with some hard house from the late 90s. We're going to listen to a tune on a label I only had one or two records on, which is to say Blue Records, and I think they're both Klubbheads records, and indeed we're listening to a track by the Klubbheads. I think originally a trio, and then one of the guys, I think a guy named Yan, left the group, and so the two guys who were there at the beginning remained. So I think it's fundamentally a duo, or at least it was for some of the later releases. But yeah, for the most famous releases, including I think this one, it was a trio. So we're going to listen to a tune they did called Kickin Hard. We're going to listen to the Eurodub mix, which is to say it differs from sort of the main Euro mix, only in terms of the vocal, which is to say the main Euro mix has a sort of, I don't know, kind of hip-hop style vocal, and it just sort of talks about coming back, giving a heart attack, kicking hard from the front to the back, and so on. And it just sort of loops and it repeats. I don't mind it. It's cool. I think the first time I heard it with the vocal version. But, you know, it's one of those vocals that, like, you know, after a couple minutes, you wish it was maybe in a little bit less of the track. So the Euro dub is basically the same version, but without the vocals. It is admittedly 1 minute shorter, so it's not, like, identical in terms of the structure, but it's basically the same tune, just without the vocal. So yeah, like I said, this is from 1998. It's on Blue Records. So here we go. This is Klubbheads, Kickin Hard, and it's the Euro dub mix. And as a friend of mine once said about this track, it's a donkey one, so look out. Don't be fooled, that's not the full kick. It's worthy of note, it is a house tune, certainly, but you can tell it's hard house. Like, this is faster than a lot of progressive house or sort of like vocal house from the time. Wait till you hear the bass line. That's the clincher. I mentioned it before. I've always been to acid techno and acid trance ever since I found electronic music, but there's a period late 90s, early 2000s where my head was turned by hard house. Like, ooh, I like that. About that big bass line. Strip it down. The main riff of this, melodic riff, it's very, I'm not gonna say menacing, but mischievous. It's up to no good, but in a playful way. Tension string doing a lot. I have seen this track go off at parties. Friends who were only interested in electronic music because I was a DJ of it, and a couple of them were like, that's a cool tune, I like that track. Which is was always interesting to me when someone who wasn't really into trance or techno was like, oh wait, I like that. Tension string back. And I like the way it sort of like softly like creeps into the breakdowns. Some like parties of the late 90s, it's like probably only heard this once or twice. I played it once or twice, but like when I imagine venues I went to, like imagine this playing at any of them, and it's like, yeah, I would have gone off. Long dead pause and a redrop. This is cheeky. First time I heard this, you know something's up. You know they're gonna do something, but there are few usages of a tension string better than that moment. It's just exactly what it means. Cinematic. Oh, I love that. Almost like a needle scratch. Which I think actually the main mix has a sample at the beginning. It's like, hey yo, Klubbheads, put the needle down to the vinyl, man, and it makes that word. I think that's what that's from. And then here, hopefully you got your new track already coming in. Right after this, there's I think they call it an a-clubbella, like Klubbheads, a-cappella, but a-clubbella. I'll let it play for a second just so you get a sense of the vocal if you haven't heard it before. And then here is the vocal. Eventually, maybe. Alright, Klubbheads. Hey yo, Klubbheads, bring the needle down to the vinyl, man. Kicking hard from the back to the front to the back, Klubbheads in the house causing a heart attack. Kicking hard from the back to the front to the back, Klubbheads in the house causing a heart attack. Kicking hard from the back to the front to the back, Klubbheads in the house causing a heart attack. Kicking hard from the back to the front to the back, Klubbheads in the house causing a heart attack. Kicking hard from the back front to the front, kicking hard from the back front to the back, kicking hard from the back front to the front. And it just does like variations of that throughout. So again, I like the main mix, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, for some reason it's one of those tunes where like I wish it was a little more selective with how often it uses the vocal, so I actually prefer the dub mix. But I love that they're both on there. I love that you can use both. And indeed, like, you could actually, like, layer that vocal off over a totally different track using the Klubbella there. So, yeah, like I said, late 90s, early 2000s, I did get very interested in hard house. That one doesn't really have, like, any Hoover element. I was particularly interested in hard house that, like, mixed the Hoover sound, sometimes called the Mentasm sound, called the Hoover sound because to a lot of people's ears it has the sound of like an angry vacuum. Obviously it's a sound that can be used like the acid sound to a lesser extent, in slightly different ways, so it can sound a little bit different, but generally speaking that's the sort of the character of the sound. And there are a lot of hard house tracks in the late 90s, early 2000s that mixed the Hoover sound with acid. So, and indeed I reacted to the Mark Johnson remix of a tune called Docalis not too long ago. That is a fantastic tune. That is exactly in that style. So if you're interested, check that out. But yeah, let me know what you think. Hard House, I don't mix it as much anymore, although I do have a 5 mix so far, a series called the Hard House Chronicles, which is like a lot of stuff. Again, most of it is a little bit like faster, edgier than this. This is a bit more like hard house and like a party style rather than kind of like a real sort of, driving rugged style. But bottom line, I do enjoy that tune a lot. I have a couple other Klubbheads records. We might get around to them eventually. Do let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.